Hi dear friends and subscribers, welcome to the Cricket Happening Show yet again this on a Tuesday with your host Ram. In this Cricket Happening Show, we are going to look at the second day's play in the first test match between West Indies and New Zealand. And as I said yesterday, for West Indies, the best bet on the going on the second day was the ball was still new, and there was some morning dew in the pitch, and they could actually nip up some early wickets. Well, West Indies definitely did that. In fact, they did nip up some early wickets with the first wicket going. Resuming at the overnight score of 367. Brendan McCullum was the first to be dismissed as Darren Sammy got a ball which snaked between the bat and pad gap of Brendan McCullum and crashed into the stumps. So what a joy and what a great feeling for the West Indies when they got this wicket of Brendan McCullum. So finally that partnership came to an end with the score on 380. So essentially they couldn't put a double century partnership, but it added 195 runs for that fourth wicket, and West Indies would be very happy. As I said, the ball was new, so the morning dew in the pitch, and probably that helped the ball. Brendan McCullum bowled between bat and pad, and he was clean bowled by Sammy for 113 with 14 fours and 3 sixes. And then they got one more wicket as Corey Anderson couldn't even contribute to the scoring, as Best got him caught behind by Ramadhan for a duck. So that made the score 385 for 5. But Ross Taylor was joined in by Watling. But once from 385 for 5, once again New Zealand started putting up a big partnership. Not a very big partnership, but Brian Watling was looking very good. He was punching the ball very well on the offside, and he was also playing some very good drives, so he was giving good company. Ross Taylor, on the other hand, realized that after Brendan McCullum and Corey Anderson were gone. In fact, if you look at Ross Taylor's innings, that was a real feature of his innings, because it was a very mature and more responsible knock. He realized that he's the binding force in this New Zealand cricket team, and that's what he precisely did. It was a knock which would do Taylor a great deal of good. Not only that, this was the first time that Ross Taylor, we have seen in the past that on all the centuries that Ross Taylor has made, there has been a lot of aggression, but this particular innings he has really buckled down to the team's task of getting on to a huge score, and that's what he precisely did. He wore down the West Indian bowlers and did not really attempt any silly shots, and really stayed there at the wicket to make an unbeaten double century. He was not out on 217, his maiden double century, not out on 217 with 23 fours. But what was very important about this Ross Taylor's innings was his application, his dedication, and that was very important. As you know, Ross Taylor normally likes to get on with the game, but in this particular innings he really if you look at his the graph of his innings, like how it has gone, it has been pretty sedate. It has not been any big hitting or really aggressive play. It has been really to the team's cause, and that's what Ross Taylor needs to do. Now, as far as Ross Taylor is concerned, he has already attributed that particular knock to Martin Crowe, one of the yesteryear great batsmen. And as you know, for me, Martin Crowe was the one of the best New Zealand batsmen to ever grace New Zealand. And after that, I have not seen anyone of that class. Probably Kane Williamson is coming a bit close to it, but Ross Taylor, who actually came in after Martin Crowe left the scene, as you know, he took some valuable tips from Martin Crowe, and Martin Crowe threw in some valuable tips to him, and Ross Taylor picked it up, and that is what everyone were able to see at the University Oval in Dunedin, especially the New Zealand spectators, as Ross Taylor showed a lot of responsibility in compiling an unbeaten 217 with 23 fours, and that enabled Brendan McCullum, the captain, to declare the innings close at a mammoth 609 for 9. But also one has to talk about Brian Watling. He made 41 of 84 balls with 4 fours. Tim Southee was an early victim. He was caught bravo bowled Dion Ryan for 2. But again, once again, the New Zealand tail showed that it could really wag. And Ish Sodhi, one couldn't really call him a tail, because one can classify him as an all-rounder because the way he played his strokes. He already has a maiden 50, as you know, in Test cricket, which was against Bangladesh, and that's what he did. He really stayed there with Ross Taylor and started getting runs. In fact, some of his drives were superb, and he was looking very compact at the crease, and he showed what a good batsman he is by compiling 35 with 5 boundaries. And then Neil Wagner came in and punched 37 runs of 40 deliveries with 3 fours and 2 sixes, where he also hit 1 6 of the bowling. I think it was Tino Best who was deposited into the stands for a 6, and he also deposited Nasing Ryan for a 6. And finally, the New Zealand innings came to a close with Ross Taylor on an unbeaten 217, and Brendan McCullum, the New Zealand captain, applying the declaration at 609 for 9. A monumental score for New Zealand, and this was their 4th highest ever score in Test history for New Zealand. Now let's look at the bowling figures. Well, Tino Best, I thought he still bowled well, 34.1 overs, 5 maidens, 148 runs and 3 wickets. Shannon Gabriel, I would say there was much to be desired of Shannon Gabriel's bowling. He went wicketless, 27.5 overs, 4 maidens, none for 148. Darren Sammy, 23.1 overs, 4 maidens, 79 runs and 2 wickets. I thought he was the pick of the bowlers. Shane Shillingford, 46.7, 138.1. And Nasing Ryan picked up 2 wickets for 76 runs. He was a bit costly, but nevertheless he picked up 2 wickets towards the end. So 609 for 9, and West Indies starting their first dig were in early trouble as Trent Boult was moving the ball both ways, and what he did is he was actually testing the batsman with a lot of balls which were coming in, and then suddenly he got a ball to swerve away, and Kirk Edwards was sucked into his. He was caught by Fulton in the slips of the bowling of Boult for a duck. And after that, Kieron Powell, who played very well in India, as you remember, also had a testing time against Tim Southee, and Tim Southee did the same like what Trent Boult did to Edwards by getting him to nick one outside the off stump, as Kieron Powell is gone, caught wattling behind the wicket of bowling of Southee for 7, and West Indies were 24 for 2. So you know, so West Indies were 24 for 2 at that stage, and after that it took Marlon Samuels, who was not out on 14 with 2 boundaries towards the close, and Darren Bravo, also not out on 37 with 5 fours, to take West Indies to safety towards close of play on the second day of the first Test match between New Zealand and West Indies, with West Indies finishing on 67 for 2. They have an Herculean task to do. Actually, they have 542 runs. New Zealand are ahead by 542 runs, but the main goal for West Indies would be to first avoid the follow-on, which is 409 runs, and that to me looks very distant unless and until Darren Bravo, Marlon Samuels, who are batting currently, and then we have the rock of Gibraltar of the West Indian batting, Shivnarayan Chandrapal, and these 3 people have to probably play knocks as good as what Ross Taylor did, with showing some tremendous application and dedication. If according to me, if all the 3 can notch up centuries, then that is the time one would get the feeling that West Indies would be in a position to actually avoid the follow-on. So whether that is going to happen, for me, only if Darren Bravo, Marlon Samuels and Chandrapal, one can understand that he is definitely capable of showing. He is in fact capable of showing greater dedication than what Ross Taylor showed, just because of his experience, and we all know what a great player Shivnarayan Chandrapal is for West Indies. But Darren Bravo and Marlon Samuels would have that real pressure on them, and they are the ones who have to really notch up centuries. But it's not going to be easy. We have just seen the pace bowling. We have seen Nish Sodhi bowl 3 overs for 10 runs. Neil Wagner 6 overs 2 maidens, none for 27. Tim Southee 7 overs 1 maiden, 1 for 15, bowled excellently. Trent Boult is absolutely on the money, 8 overs 5 maidens, 7 runs and 1 wicket. Tremendous bowling figures. Seeing that in Test matches. And for West Indies, I think their primary goal now would be to reach the target of 409, and that is also a very tall task. As I said, it has to be, if at all that has to happen, the only way that could happen is at least 2 people have to get centuries under their belt. If that happens, then West Indies probably would be inching towards that 409. Otherwise, I think it's going to be very tough again for New Zealand. In the morning, it is going to be, even though the ball is not so new, I'm sorry, I think West Indies bowlers would be, the New Zealand bowlers would be definitely into their element when bowling in the morning, and that is something that Marlon Samuels and Darren Bravo to very safely negotiate. At least they have to negotiate the first over of the first session at the University Oval. If they are able to do that, that would augur well for them. But again, it's a very, very tough ask for the West Indians. But I think there's a real challenge in there on the third day for the West Indian batting against the New Zealand bowlers. Well, from here I'm going to stop it at that, and we will have a look at how the third day pans out at the University Oval in Dunedin. Now, there are two other matches which are coming in. I'm not going to do any previews. I'm just going to briefly touch on them. One is the Ashes Test match is about to start, as you know. That's going to be between Australia and England, the second test at Adelaide. So that is one test match which is starting. Now, as you know, Adelaide Oval. We have already spoken about it. That's a pitcher's ground. It's been refurbished. We all know about that. But what is very important is Adelaide is probably, they say it's a drop-in pitch. So there would be tons of runs scored in that. I'm sure it's going to be a good batting pitch. And England would be pretty happy that they could at least, draw the test match against Australia. So it will. So basically, the bowlers are the ones who would be really under the hammer against the against the batsmen. And the other, one important fact coming in is that in this Sheffield Shield season, what one has seen in Adelaide Oval is that more wickets have been taken by the spinners rather than the pacemen. So it definitely proves something that probably the Adelaide pitch towards the end could probably have a crack and could turn and bounce probably, but at least for the first 3 days, I'm sure it is going to be a feather bed of a wicket, and I'm sure the batsmen are going to make hay while the sun is shining brightly. And Adelaide Oval, so basically the pace bowlers are going to find it tough. We have seen, but the only one contrast that I've noticed here is that previously the spinners have really come under the pump. We have seen Michael, I think it was the left arm spinner, Xavier Doherty, who was absolutely pummeled by Kevin Peterson. We have also seen Nathan Lyon getting some cavalier treatment by the South Africans on this particular Adelaide Oval. That's what really comes to memory, and I think it is going to be a real challenge for the bowlers. But the only contrast being that the spinners were pummeled, but this Sheffield Shield season, if we compare, it is told the information or the statistics that are gathered says that the spinners have done a wonderful job. Spinners have got the majority of wickets compared to the pacers who have not done well here. So, for the batsmen, they would be really licking their lips to have a crack at the Adelaide Oval. Okay. So now the other test match which is starting, it's not the test match, it is a one-day international series. India are already there in South Africa. So India and South Africa are going to clash in the first of the one-day international series, the first one-day international. And for me, what is going to be important when India plays South Africa at the Wanderers in Johannesburg is that how India is acclimatizing to the South African temperatures there, and also how they adjust to the green tops there, how they are able to negotiate the pace and bounce. We have seen in the past that India have struggled abroad when in the initial stages, and so that is going to be the real test for India. And for India and South Africa, well, I think that would be one of the greatest spectacles to witness for all the spectators, because both are evenly matched, but South Africa definitely have an edge being with the matches being played on their home grounds with lots of crowd support. But I'm sure the Indian batting is looking pretty strong here. They are technically equipped, but it all depends on how they are going to face the pace batters coming in from Dale Steyn, Molly Morkel. Well, they definitely have the batsmen to do it, but I think that's going to be a real test for the Indians. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Indian batting, which has been doing pretty well so far, shapes up. and we can call it this is the new youth brigade which is there abroad now after the retirement of Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid and Saurav Ganguly and VVS Lakshman. I think this is a real youth brigade which is going to be in South Africa, and one has to see how this youth brigade of Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma is in some good form, Shikhar Dhawan the opener, they all fare. So all in all, it looks to be a very very interesting tussle ahead of us at the Wanderers in Johannesburg between India and South Africa, and the first one day match of the one day international series begins over there. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that's it for this cricket happening show for today from your host Ram. Hope you all like my cricket broadcast here today. I am thankful to you all, dear friends and subscribers, for all the support that you have been giving me on this show. Please continue to do so, and your host Ram will be there tomorrow once again. Probably tomorrow it wouldn't be a full report on any of these matches, because probably on it depends on the time that I had at my disposal before I leave for work. So it could be either it could be a cricket update or it could be a cricket summary. So as far as cricket report is concerned, because when I will have to cover all the three matches time permitting. Well, dear fans and subscribers, nothing else to add. See you on my cricket happening show, that is tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye. Thank you.